Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here, and in today's Grand Theft Auto 5 video, I'm going to be explaining the ending for the Doomsday Heist. So, warning, this is going to be major spoilers. If you're stumbling upon this video, you're likely interested in what happens at the end, or you've not played the heist and might not have an interest, but you still want to know what happens, because at the end of the day, the story is still pretty cool. I'm going to be explaining what happens at the end and the overall effect it has in the Grand Theft Auto Online lore, storyline, and free mode gameplay. So let me run you through the overall summary, and then we'll kind of go act by act. So the Doomsday Heist update focuses on a storyline where our GTA Online protagonists are reunited by Lester Crest, who was the one who got us started on the original heist in 2015, and a new character, billionaire Avon Hertz. Now, our protagonists, Lester and Avon, unite with government agents, including Agent 14 and another one, Agent Rackman, and Avon, the billionaire, believes that an unknown foreign entity is trying to start a war that would put San Andreas and the United States under a doomsday scenario. And that essentially is the objective as you're getting started. Stop the doomsday scenario. Now, act number 1 is called the data breaches, and in the data breaches, you're essentially working for Avon. He's telling you where to go, what to get, and essentially you're gathering data so that he can ultimately start his master plan. Now, this is where some of the first spoilers are going to come into, and it's helpful to know this from the beginning. Avon and his supercomputer, Clifford, are the bad guys here. They'll actually turn on you at the end of Act 2, but in Act 1, you don't know this. You think you're gathering data on the enemy, which Avon says is either the Russians, the North Koreans, or the Chinese. So you think they're the bad guy, and Avon is the one who has some financial gain in order to stop something like this. So act number 1 is completed and ends when you actually break into the secret IAA base, which is located underneath the satellites in Sandy Shores. Now, as you're doing that, you actually discover one rogue Russian agent who is in a nuclear submarine off the coast of southern San Andreas, and that is codename Bogdan. So at the end of Act 1, your characters, Lester and Avon, all seem to have developed a common bad guy, this Russian by the name of codename Bogdan. And that's sort of the guy in the end of Act 1 that you're going to be dedicating the rest of your efforts in Act 2 in order to end up trying to find him. Now, Act 2, which is called the Bogdan Project, is very similar to Act 1. You're working with Avon, you're acquiring various gear, supplies. In this one, you actually get a Stromberg. You have to find other methods of, weaponizing the Stromberg, getting it ready to go. And then you end up doing some reconnaissance on the nuclear submarine. Now, once you do reconnaissance on the nuclear submarine, you're actually tasked to go inside and figure out what's going on in there. Now, as you're doing that, and as you enter the submarine, Avon gives you a very interesting request. He tells you that you need to put Clifford into the mainframe of the submarine. And since at this point you think Avon is still the good guy, that seems like a logical thing to do. Getting Clifford onto this submarine might be able to stop the end of the world, the doomsday scenario, and obviously that's what you want. However, as you're plugging in the USB that Clifford is on, Bogdan actually comes in telling you that something is seriously wrong here. He is not the bad guy. He has actually fled from Russia. He's considered a traitor there. He has war crimes in the United States, which is obviously not good. And as you're aiming 2 handguns at him, he is trying to explain that Avon and his computer Cliffy are actually the bad guy here. And this is when we figure that out. Avon and Clifford come over the PA system, informing them that their new objective is to rid the human race, and they are going to destroy everyone in nuclear fire. So as this is happening, Clifford tells you that the submarine has 30 seconds until it ends up blowing up. And then from there, it's your job to basically get out of there, get back to shore, and then you start Act 3. Act 3 is the doomsday scenario, and this is when things really get shaken up, because obviously you no longer have Avon really telling you and guiding you what to do. Instead, you're relying on intelligence from Bogdan, who is now actually on your side. He's one of the good guys, and also old friend Agent 14 and new friend Agent Rackman, who's also from the IAA. So I think that Act 3 in terms of the setup missions are my least favorite because you're basically just destroying the new tools that Clifford and Avon have created. He's created a new stealth tank, which we obviously saw in the Conjali. He's created this, menacing off-road ATV that he was having delivered. You have to get rid of that. You also have to get the United Liberty paper contact out of the country without Clifford stopping him. So those are the sort of missions you ultimately end up doing here. Now, the final setup mission is where we get some very interesting information from Lester. He tells us that Avon is hiding out in Mount Chiliad. He has a base in there, and that's where he's located, and that's where Clifford is located too. So from there, your objective is to get inside Mount Chiliad, it's to destroy Clifford, and it's to take out Avon, and that is where the finale starts. So I'm not going to explain a ton of the process of going inside of Mount Chiliad. It is a really long process. It's probably going to take you about 45 minutes to an hour. I've also done a dedicated video on what the inside of Mount Chiliad looks like. So if you want to take a look at that for yourself, I'll leave a link to it in the description. Essentially, you need to fight your way through Avon's goons or whatever his computer clones are. And then you're going to need to do two things. There's going to be a series of puzzles that you're actually going to have to do that require you to bend light beams in a really weird shape and form. It's almost like a puzzle. It's pretty difficult. It took me a couple tries to actually get this done. But once you get the hang of the first few, you should be good. And then you actually have to use the orbital cannons to destroy trucks that are carrying Clifford's mobile DNA. So depending on how many players you have, you're going to need to destroy all 4 of the targets or all 4 of the trucks that are containing Clifford's code. And once you do that, Clifford will actually be destroyed. So that's problem number 1. Then you have to deal with problem number 2, which is Avon. That's when you actually get inside of the nuclear silo. You can see the missile that Clifford was going to launch that once again cannot be activated because you destroyed him. So Avon takes the jetpack, which, by the way, the IAA describe as government official. So these are government-grade military jetpacks, which is kind of interesting. Also, fun fact, they said we couldn't keep them, which I think is kind of cool because they're classified material. Avon slips out the top, we follow him, and then it's our objective to end up killing him. Now, this process is incredibly easy. You just have to kind of catch up to him in the jetpack, and then you ultimately track him down and kill him once and for all. Now, before we get to our final cutscene here, you might be asking, what about Bogdan? Well, Bogdan is actually kind of granted a pardon by Agent Rackman. She basically tells him to stay low, get out of the country before you're charged for war crimes. He states he's a traitor in Russia and he can't go back there. And that's the last we hear of him. We don't know what else he's doing, where he's gone, or what sort of interaction he's going to have with us going forward. Then we get to a cutscene. We deliver the jetpacks and we meet Agent 14 and Rackman at the Galileo Observatory. Now, this is where Lester asks for a couple things. Number 1, he asks for payment, which we obviously receive at this. But he also, number 2, asks for his record to be totally cleared. Now, Rackman denies this request, but I would assume out of the cutscene, they end up figuring out a way to have all the charges dropped from Lester. Now, bottom line, they basically want to just walk away from this entire thing. Rackman says, let's try and forget about this entire event. They're going to send us the money, and that is pretty much it from there. We walk away. Lester walks away. Our characters kind of celebrate in the moment as they have just saved the world from sure self-destruction and doomsday annihilation. And it sort of ends in the same fitting fashion that the 2015 heist update ended. Now, that's not all right there. We also get some more information via a phone call from Lester after the heist mission that describes what happened. He describes that all his charges got dropped. You obviously get paid, which is quite nice. But he describes some things that happened to the IAA agents. Rackman pretty much got all the glory for this. She got a promotion and got bumped up in the IAA hierarchy. And then he describes Agent 14 as still being a dick. So I'm not sure what that means for him, but I think it continues the funny story of basically Agent 14. Now, speaking of Agent 14, he sends us a text message and tells us that the vehicle has been sold, the one we didn't end up using in the final heist, and that he has given us the money or has deposited it to us in our account. Now, another thing, once you complete the finale, Agent 14 actually calls Lester and tells him that because of all the good work they did, he can now request the cops get away from him for free. So now you can call Lester and have him remove your wanted level for no charge, which is actually quite nice. Now, the only other thing that I've noticed has been added in free mode is a giant statue inside of our facility. It's an eagle that looks to be like clutching the world with its talons. So that's pretty cool. That's the only thing that's added in our facility. And other than that, I don't think there are any changes that have been made to free mode. However, there is an interesting part to the story. Lester describes that although Avon is dead, Clifford's code is sitting out there waiting for something to happen to it. He states it might be turned into, software of some kind. What does that mean? Could we potentially see the return of Clifford if someone else is able to basically dig it back up and figure out what its powers are? So that right there is the ending explained to what happened in the Doomsday Heist in Grand Theft Auto Online. Essentially, we save the world. We bail Agent 14 out of, any trouble he was getting in. We get Agent Rackman promoted in the IAA. Bogdan has gone off the radar. We have no idea where he is, and the Clifford code is out there sitting in cyberspace waiting for someone to pick it up. So that's pretty much it. I thought it was a very interesting story. Some of the missions got a little bit tedious, but I did enjoy the comical humor and just wackiness that was the Doomsday Heist. Let me know in the comments section down below, what do you think of the ending if you've completed it? Was it satisfying? Was it a little bit of a letdown? Let me know your thoughts, opinions, and more in the comments section down below. If you did go on to enjoy this video though, a like rating would of course be awesome. And also subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new or you like daily GTA 5 videos like this. With all the way, guys, like I said, thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.